first dermatologist visit? Yeah, what really happens. So let's give it to you. Hey, don't forget like and subscribe, huh? We're getting our butts kicked here in Jersey. Get the subscription numbers up. So you're thinking about, or you scheduled your first dermatology visit and what to expect. Now, I've been to the dermatologist a bazillion times. Here's why you should go to the dermatologist. I would say probably 9 out of 10 people should go, especially if you have little tiny beauty marks or moles, or you're very, very, very light skinned. You know what? I think every human being should go to the dermatologist at least a few times in their life, maybe once a year for sure for most people. Because if you have, especially if you have beauty marks or little tiny moles or discolorations or whatever, birthmarks, this and that, fair skin, but even if you're black, doesn't matter, black or white. And we're going to get this in a little bit, that the myth that, black people can't get skin cancer or skin problems. But so everybody should go get your skin checked out. Certainly at the absolute minimum, when you get your yearly physical, ask your GP or nurse practitioner to take a look at your skin. But that's not a dermatologist. So why you want to go, good news, bad news. Good news is skin cancer is the most curable cancer, period. Bad news is if you don't catch the skin cancer ahead of time, it is the most deadly cancer. You know what I mean? And nobody should die of skin cancer. It's not voodoo science. It's not like other cancers that are hard to kind of predict or catch, like a pancreatic cancer. Skin cancer is very, you can intercept it. It's very treatable. Nobody should really be dying of it. But anyways, okay. So, and again, go once a year to the dermatologist. So if you have a mole or a mark on your skin that's asymmetrical, not a perfect kind of round dot, it's kind of like squiggly or, kind of just mismatched, asymmetrical, that's probably something you got to look out for. A dot or a mark or a mole that gets really, really dark black, that's a problem. So, you definitely want to see doctors for that. But even if you don't have those, but you have marks and moles, and even if you have no marks and moles, you have perfect skin, our skin is exposed to radiation through the sun, through everything, like it needs to be checked up just like our insides do. All right. So, I had a girlfriend a while back, and she had a tiny little mole on her arm, tiny, like a beauty mark. It was a little tiny, like smaller than an eraser. That's the other thing too. If your moles are bigger than the tip of an eraser on a pencil, something you also want to check out. But again, even if it's smaller than the head of an eraser, you still want to go to the dermatologist. But you should be aware of what's going on too. Use your own eyes. So she had a tiny little dot on her arm, and it got very, very black. And so she went to the dermatologist, and what happened was it was cancerous. So, and what you probably don't realize is, I didn't know this, but a skin cancer, like a mole, when they took the mole off of her arm, they pulled out like a pencil rod. So cancer grows. When we see that little mole, if it turns into cancer, it's growing, it's becoming larger, and it can grow into any shape. So thank God it grew parallel to her bone and not in the bone, because if it would have went into the bone, you're dead. So, but yeah, they pulled out a pencil rod. It was really like pencil rod of cancer. Freaking crazy. Anyways, because we're seeing the tip of the iceberg when it's on the skin. Now, also, I lost a friend of mine. So that girl, the girl I dated, she lived and she's fine. But I lost a friend of mine who was a girl. She had, I want to say, this is something, I don't know, a dermatologist could check. I believe this girl had cancer, like either on her skin underneath her eye, which a dermatologist could check that, or it could have been in the eye, which is another reason why I should wear sunglasses. That ophthalmologist, I think it is, or ophthalmologist, I think would check that. But anyways, again, a cancer that, we're always worried about breast cancer, colon cancer, rightfully so. And we forget our skin, which is very obvious. Our skin is an organ too. Bob Marley, famous Jamaican reggae singer, died very young because he had cancer on his toe. He had a mole or a little dot on his toe, right underneath the toenail, dead. And he was black, by the way. So a lot of people think, well, if you're black, you don't have to worry. Not true. It is true that blacks have, generally speaking, or skin cancer rates than whites or non-blacks, but that doesn't mean they don't have skin cancer. Again, Bob Marley, perfect example. And actually, good news, bad news for black people, they have less odds of skin cancer, but when they do get a mole or a dot or something kind of abnormality on the skin, it's harder to detect because they're black, and moles are brown and black. Again, dermatologists can check that though. You want to get dermatologist. So now, when I went to the dermatologist and when I do, there's actually a difference between a good dermatologist and a not so good dermatologist. right away, and you should probably ask this before your visit, but you want the doctor to make you get butt ass naked. Okay. Because I had one dermatologist that just said, "Oh, take off your shirt," and that was it. And I was like, "That's half of my body. I have, little moles here and there all throughout my body. I know that because I look at my body, right? Which is the right thing to do." And I was just like, "Oh, okay. I don't know. I just like, you know what? I got to go to a different dermatologist." So, dermatologist I go to now is great because they disrobe me. And if you're going to go on your first visit, a good dermatologist, again, is going to make you get naked. You're going to go into a room. You're going to get into a gown. And they may say keep your underwear on, but eventually you're going to take it off. So you're going to get naked and they're going to check everywhere behind your earlobe, around your every nose, mouth, top of your head, back of your head, places that you can't see, right? There's armpits, in between your fingers, in between your fingers, between your toes, up your ass crack, honestly, everywhere. Your testicles, your penis, the woman's vaginal area, anywhere where there's skin, like I said, bottom of your feet, your heels, your ankles, everywhere. So you definitely want that's a good dermatologist. Now, my dermatologist is really cool out here in Jersey because they have two dermatologists that check everybody. So, the old saying, four eyes are better than two. And then they go in there with a big, like, if they have any questions, a marker on you is questionable, they will take a huge magnifying glass with a super bright light, and then they'll look. If there's an issue, they will take a sample of it or scrape or some kind of, in some kind of method to extract some of the skin cell, and then they'll take it off to pathology and get back to you in a couple of days or whatever. But better get it checked because if you don't, you don't want to die of something. It's embarrassing, but what's worse, dying of skin cancer or being embarrassed? So, funny story. So I say unfortunately, but so I have the two doctors that check me. One's a guy, so I'm like, that's cool, and then I'm like, they go, oh, the other doctor will be in. I'm like, God, please don't let it be a hot chick. Sure enough, the second dermatologist who checks me is like a perfect 10 hot supermodel. And I was like, oh my God. So if you're going to get your first dermatology check, don't worry. Like these doctors have seen thousands and thousands and thousands of people. They're not impressed with you. Nothing phases them. So you got to think of it like that. Doesn't matter whether you're hot or not. It doesn't matter. It's the 10,000th ass they've seen. You know what I mean? They've seen all types of asses. So, anyways, what else? So, yeah, they're going to be looking for any kind of abnormalities in your skin. Even though you might think something's not a problem, they could probably check that though. So again, be aware of your skin. Keep looking on your own too, and also wear sun protection. Wear hats and sunglasses if you can, and also wear sunscreen. SPF. Now, I know people out there like, oh, but some of that causes cancer. The sun causes cancer too. So sunscreen is fine. Don't drink the sunscreen, okay? And there's different types out there, so, but ask your dermatologist. They went to medical school, you didn't. So anyways, that's what you can expect. You're going to go and you're going to get naked and it's going to be, not going to hurt you. You might be a little bit giggly and embarrassed, but that's life. Again, get it done, all right? Any questions? Hey, let me know and let me know your experience. Okay, bye.